Bienvenidos a la Piscina Comics. Hoy vais a asistir a un milagro. Uno de los más grandes artistas del cómic de todos los tiempos nos va a regalar una clase magistral sobre su arte y sus procesos, después de toda una vida dedicada a crear obras maestras de la historieta. Jaime Hernandez estuvo en España, en Barcelona y Madrid, presentando sus nuevas novelas gráficas y la nueva reedición de su obra cumbre, Locas, la vida de Maggie y Hopi, sus icónicas heroínas. Vamos pues con Mr. Jaime Hernández.
Okay, so finally we made it. It's great. Well, we are pleased and honored to be with Jaime Hernandez, one of the greatest cartoonists, one of my favorites ever. And we were with Gilbert last year, and we are with Jaime this year in Madrid again. So this is great. It's like a dream come true. Amazing.
Cool.
And these are the new editions by La Cúpula, who's been your publisher from the beginning, right?
For a long time, yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah.
So very faithful publisher. Yes. We have the Dibujo del Natural and the big Locas book, which collects the very early Love and Rockets stories of Maggie and Hopi, right? It's nice. It's a nice site. Nice, very nice. Because I like it better than this one. It's a little bit too small.
Oh, right.
For me,
right. You like the bigger.
I like it a little bit bigger because I enjoy looking at the drawings. Or you like better the kind of pocket size?
You know what? I don't know. I just.
You like different. What do you think is the best size for you?
I guess the size of the original comic when I draw it, you know. So between these two, you know. I don't know. I think this is a good size for somebody who just wants to have their private reading, you know, their little secret time.
On bed?
You know. yeah, like that. I like this because it displays it bigger, it displays more.
Right.
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it.
Well, you know which is my favorite, although it's not a bad reading, this size. Which is the one that you were saying, in fact. I mean, the original size of your boards.
Yeah, and notice the board. This is the original size of the boards, but it's smaller than the book.
Yeah.
Because they used a standard size of these. What are they called? I don't know.
Artist edition.
Yeah, artist editions. That other artists draw bigger than I do.
Right. Why is that you choose this particular size?
In the beginning, I chose this size because I could buy the paper in tablets in 11 by 14 inches tablets, and I can measure everything where it's all works same size. I don't know, and it fits a magazine size, and so yeah, it was just, you know, something I decided 40 years ago.
But you stick to it.
And I stuck to it because I found out that my drawing, the main point of drawing a page is it's the frame is not important. I don't know if this makes sense, but
no, go ahead.
The frame is not important, but it's always the same size, and we're watching, like, it's almost like we're watching a screen,
right?
You know, like a movie or a television or something. And so I didn't want my layouts to make the frames part of the art. I wanted the art to be inside the frame. What you're looking at is inside. I didn't really care if the page was the whole design, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
It seems like you were more interested of what is happening inside the frame.
Inside, yeah. Yeah. And it was like you're watching a screen. You know. You go to the movies and they go, "Oh, this is very innovative." And I go, "It's the same shape as another movie." You know, but your mind, the way it's shot, your mind starts to create it yourself. Like, this is big. It's like Lawrence of Arabia. It's like the biggest, broadest movie. It's in the same theater that you saw a smaller movie.
Right, right.
A
screen has always the same size.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so it's the images that make that make you believe something is big, something is small. You know, it's just it's almost like a trick. You know, like these panels are all the same height.
Yes.
Yet this one is sprawling. This one sprawls, well, because it goes across the page. Yet these are considered smaller images, but they're all the same size. They're all the same. It depends on what you draw inside it.
It's interesting because when I see if we go through the pages, everyone can notice how everything is very well balanced between the realistic and the cartoonist, and the blacks and the whites. It's like the perfect balance. It's like, I don't know what it is. It's like, it's readable and it's complex. The two things. So maybe the layout, has to do with that. Some complexity has to be simplified.
Yes.
In order to...
I need to please the eye. You know, when you're looking at it, I need you to be pleased. I don't want you to open up a page and go, "Whoa, what am I supposed to look at?" You know, you're like, "Wow, this is so complex. What am I supposed to look at?" With the way I lay it out, you go, you look at this, you look at that, you look at that, all the same size. Yet the images come out, go in, go out, go in. You know, it started out as like a convenient thing for me. You know, I get to buy the pages, just buy a bunch of tablets, and that just makes it easier. I don't have to cut paper. I don't have to do anything. It started out that way, and then it ended up like, I get to play with it inside the frame. I get to tell you if it's bigger, if it's smaller, but I still need you to see it where you don't have to work to see it.
Right.
You don't have to go, "Okay, what is this? What is that? What am I supposed to get here?" Sometimes it's like, forget it. You know, I want you to open it and you can see it and it's right there for you, and you don't have to struggle with it.
This is interesting because it has to do with something I think I listened or I read in an interview, and I think I never heard from anyone or from other cartoonists that I remember. You said something about when you are going to face the page and start thinking about drawing it, you first visualize it as a movie?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. I'm picturing them outside. The sun is out. Sky is big and blue, and they're at the zoo. You go to the zoo, and it's outside, and it's either a warm feeling or a hot feeling, you know. And when I draw it, and what helps is the dialogue, you know. I follow what the dialogue is telling me to do. I'm following, like, I like the polar bears. I could sit all day watching them. I know all about polar bears, believe me. well, let's see, what's the image? They're watching the polar bear. People are walking by. Okay, so I have a person walking by. I have them watching the polar bear, and there's the polar bear. I took care of a lot of cinematic movement in the panel, in the one panel, in a still drawing of lines.
Right.
You know, and it took me a while to figure out how it was done, but you know, you just play with it so the reader will you'll convince the reader to follow it.
Absolutely.
Follow, you know, them two talking. He's talking, and then she's walking away. So the whole thing is like, she's gone. You know, she's going to be gone with the horizon line. You know, so you know how, you know, it's exiting a scene. You know, it's I don't know. You know, I don't really think about this stuff.
Exactly. It's very, I know I'm forcing you to do something that seems unnatural because it's very intuitive. But at the same time, it's interesting because your stories are you feel like they're real stories. You know, they're real characters. They have real lives beyond the page, beyond the world of your books.
Exactly.
And it seems like you are actually, when you're saying that you're looking at the movie, it's like you are looking to a memory or like a real life that you have in your mind about these characters' lives.
Yeah.
And then you have to do the translation.
Yes.
Which is, okay, now this real world has to be translated into lines.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and you have to trick the reader into believing it's moving.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's just, a lot of it was just intuitive. Sometimes I would have to stop and go, how am I going to work this one? I'll get back to it. You know, and I go to a different page.
There are some pages here at the end, which is amazing. They can tell us a little bit about the process of how do you work. Because I see, okay, the penciling, and sometimes like you see there's sometimes you finished a panel instead of going panel after finishing panel after panel, you just go around the page figuring out what panel you like the better, or you have it.
It's basically which one is the funnest panel. You go to that one. This one's boring. You know, I'll get to that later. You know, that will finish the page.
Okay.
But I have to draw the fun stuff, or I'm bored, or I'm leaving the drawing board. You know, I have to have fun, my fun too, as well as the readers.
Because the thing is, how you keep it fresh. Because writing is something fast. You write a novel, you're coming up with your idea, you're writing, you're typing, boom, boom, boom. But when you have to write and you have to draw, it takes time. And that times it's an enemy of the lively freshness, doesn't it? I mean,
yeah.
How do you fight that?
Be.
How do you keep it alive?
Like I said, I go for the fun stuff first. I go for the stuff I want to do first off, you know, and then the rest fills it in.
Like this one, you find it more interesting, the silhouettes and the...
Because I could picture her getting off the bus, the sun is going down, so that was something I could, I knew what I was going to do. Sometimes I don't, you know. Sometimes it'll be like, okay, she's getting off the bus. Woo, what a boring drawing to do. But then sometimes I go, oh, she's getting home at dusk, you know, when everything is getting dark and she's taking the bus home. You know, and then that's when I go, oh, that'll be a fun one, you know, so I go to that.
These
rather
are
than-
some rejects, these
Yes.
pages.
Yes.
So it's because there was something that wasn't working.
that I wrote them ahead before the story arc started to change. Like this scene, I loved this scene, but in the end, I go, no, Maggie's alone at the end. Izzy's not with her. So I can't use this. And
It's interesting.
but I love this scene. I just loved how Maggie freaks out so much that she freezes. She's so scared.
Yeah.
And then them walking with the dogs. Well, in the end of the story, Maggie's alone walking with the dogs. So I had to get rid of this, but I didn't want to. I really liked it. And so when they said, can you give us pages? I go, it gets to live. Oh boy, I get to use the part that I really love doing, and it gets to finally be published. You know, because I was so excited to do this scene, and then I realized, oh no, Izzy's gone by that time. What am I gonna do? And I go, it's cut out. It's cut out. Ooh, breaks my heart.
Oh God.
You know.
But it amazes me, Jaime, that that these characters are so real for you that when there is a part of the story that is not told or you're suffering, it's like if it's not on the page finished, it never happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. The characters.
One thing, the inking process.
Okay. This is
The pen. First of all, you choose always from the very beginning pen.
Yeah.
Instead of brush.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it was a thing that I learned because it's what I could afford. You know, when I was a young teenager, and I was like, oh, here's a point. Okay, now we got a point. And I learned to use it, and I learned how to manipulate it. And for some reason I go, this works. I don't need another point. I don't need to search for another type. And so I've been using that same one that I found when I was a teenager. But I keep them to where they wear out.
Okay.
And so they can make thick lines, you know, and then I have to start a brand new one to do the thin lines, you know. And pretty soon now I use 3 different ones. One starter nib, one old nib, and one in between.
Right.
Because this is kind of an in-between one, in-between or an older one, where the lines are thicker, you know.
To me, your inking and your pen line is very brushy, for me.
Because they're so old, they're so flexible that I can make a broad stroke and it looks like a brush line.
Exactly. It's like, in fact, you know, if I don't pay attention, it looks like that, you know, lush line, very sexy line that it has the brush. But you're able to do it with the pen.
Yes. I admit sometimes to get that line perfect, sometimes I'm going, you know, I'm not just going like a brush. I'm actually working
You
it.
build it.
Yeah, I build it. And then sometimes like this, I'm going, there's a line, there's a line, there's a line. You know, it depends on the drawing, on the size of the drawing, you know. And it's something that people go, oh, I love your brushwork. Brush, right? And I go,
Exactly. Yeah. Because it's exactly what I'm saying. Is it has that really easy, you know, round line that you find in brush. Okay, we don't have enough time. I would love to have a couple hours with you, but we have a few minutes. Once you have everything inked, Now it comes to me a very important part that I always amaze the way you do it is the negative space, blocking, building the blacks, you know, all the, like this, for example, this page. Now you have to decide where the solid blacks are gonna be, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a scary thing to do because once you have it there, it's the whole page changes completely.
Yes, but I give it the most important stuff I'll do first, mm-hmm. and then I'll decide, oh, it doesn't need any more to this panel, or I really should show the village that she lives in, so I will add buildings later. Mm-hmm. You know, but I make sure it keeps that negative space. So it's like, I'm not going to draw the buildings like high up. I'll just draw just a little gesture of it just to keep that negative space. You know, it's.
But you know, this is going to be a silhouette. This is
Yes.
going to be all black, and probably this or not.
Mm-hmm.
But you start with the blacks in the costumes
Mm-hmm.
first.
And the way I put in the blacks is, okay, what's the most important? Her hair is black, okay? And then so we have black, 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 you know, black. And then I look at the page and go, what else does it need? Maybe a little more black. Here's a good scene for a silhouette. Now what about this side of the page? You know, and I'm like always like this balance of just looking at the page. I'm going in my head, and then I'm not happy till it's complete, a pretty page, till it's this.
Yeah, see, everything is so perfectly balanced. In fact, once I did a photocopy, a negative photocopy of one of your pages, mm-hmm. and it's amazing to see how the black and whites are pretty much balanced. It's like there's no, I wouldn't say 50-50, because in the night scenes, it's pretty much 50-50, I would say. And nothing gets dirty, everything is very readable. And I would say from the very beginning, you had such a natural skill. And I want to ask you, did you learn, like, for example, anatomy, and you learn it from comic books, or you went to art classes?
I learned to draw from comics and drawing for myself and drawing with my brothers or whatever. And then sometimes I'd be lucky where I would find a class where the teacher like opened my eyes, like, oh, okay. Oh, I thought, I didn't think I had this much more to learn, you know.
Right.
And so, yes, and then I learned negative space by another teacher who, I remember we did a class called portrait drawing. Mm-hmm. And we would take turns going up and sitting, and everyone would do a head drawing of us. And then I remember he goes, now I'm going to teach you negative space. And I was like, I've heard that term, but I don't know what he's talking about. And he just got like a color chalk, big color chalk, and he got one of the portraits of the, you know, of the person we drew, and he just went, and he just filled it in. And he goes, that's negative space. And for some reason, I got it right away. But 2 seconds before that, I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I just go, oh, okay, it's that thing. And then I got really mad because Gilbert goes, oh yeah, negative space. I know negative space. And I was like, yeah, so that learned. And then I learned also, there was a teacher who said, who had this thing like, okay, I want you to do blank piece of paper, and then I want you to do vertical and horizontal lines, but none of them can be the same, have the same space. And then you'd go, okay, so this line is higher up on the page. The other one's more like in the middle of the page. Now let's put the one down the middle. And then he would go to the person doing it, including me, and he'd go, yeah, but what about that? That's the same size as this one. And he'd go, fuck. You're like, oh, okay. Okay, so if I move the line, it won't, this thing will get, this part will get smaller and this part will get bigger. They're not the same. And you go, okay, but what about that? Up there. Now that's the same size as that. And I just remember going like, oh my God, like, okay, and I'll just have to figure that out. And that's how I lay out a page. I could easily have Maggie and them walk in and everyone is the same spaced apart. Well, I go, okay, I've got the front lady. She's not as close to her, but I don't want another person with that same space.
Right.
Unless you're drawing like soldiers marching, then that's a different thing because they have to be in a certain space.
Yeah.
But see, and then Maggie is close to her, but she's close enough where this space is smaller than this space. And then the rest of the characters coming in, I go, where do they fit? And I go, oh, right behind Maggie, because now you have space, and different space.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always work. I mean, I have to admit, sometimes it's like these, like, okay, are they far enough? Okay, that'll work. But are they far enough apart? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
But so every panel that I design now is like, here comes 3 people walking. Well, they're all spaced the same, apart. That's nothing. That's too uniform. Two soldiers
Right. How do you
marching. And then I go, okay, so then I erase one of them and I put them closer to the one or the other. And so she's bigger space on this side, little space on this side, bigger space. It's just that. But I've learned to do that automatically when I'm laying out. And I'll go like, oh, Maggie's too far over. I'm going to put her kind of behind her sister, but I need her expression, so I can't fully cut.
Exactly.
And so that's how I think, and it's a natural thing. But it took me until I think last year when I go, oh yeah, that one teacher's the one who taught me this.
Oh, okay.
That one teacher. Yeah, because I would just forget. And all these teachers would just have one bit of advice that worked, that I still use.
Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I bet you were very good student because you really took those advices and make it something.
Yeah.
So good. The one thing that when you finish in the page, you're always looking for something that it looks beautiful.
Yes.
Doesn't it?
Yes.
And you're not afraid to say it because some people say, oh, no, my comics have to be, aggressive or whatever, hip or whatever. But you're looking for beauty.
Yeah, and I'm looking for beauty in the sense of the reader likes it. They like what they see. They like, some readers don't even know it, that they're loving what they see. It's just pleasing. And, I always want to invite you in. I never want to repel the reader.
Right.
So yeah. Yeah, and it's funny that I'm just remembering stuff like 10 days ago, that I learned 40 years ago or 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh yeah, that's where this comes from. I didn't even notice.
But Jaime, you're
have a very good memory because these stories are coming from, I mean, your fiction, but at the same time they're based on things that happen to you or friends, right? Do you record a conversation with friends, or it's just your memory?
It's just my memory.
Wow.
Because a lot of it I forget. I don't even know what we were talking about that day, you know. But I do remember it's nighttime and we're walking down the street and we're only lit by the street lights. You know, just things like that, because it's an image that keeps with me, and the non-important stuff is like, who we talk about? I don't know what we're talking about. And so, yeah, it's just, I have these snapshots in my head, you know. None of it, and it's not always like photographic memory. It's not like I remember the exact shot. I go, no, I remember that exact feeling. Feeling that it gave me. Like, it's summer, so we were walking, we didn't have jackets because it was warm out that evening. Just things like that. Weather is a very strong tool for art. And I learned that from an old Archie artist growing up. I remember there was this one artist who drew little Archie comics named Bob Bowling. And I go, what sets him apart from a lot of these other artists? And it's obvious that he never drew kid comics before. They hired this one illustrator to draw kids. And this guy goes, okay, I'm going to draw kids. And obviously he brought his own view to it. And there are scenes where little Archie would be walking down the street, bored or just walking, and in the distance would be like a barn, like he's walking out in the country. He would see a barn, and the artist, for some reason, would draw one side of the barn black. And I go, oh, it's about 5 o'clock. You know, it's about, because the sun is going down. The sun is only showing one side. And I just remember as a little kid being like, oh yeah, he should get home. You know, he should get home, it's getting dark, you know, and things like that. And I would just think that. And he would do that a lot. I remember one time he did a story where little Archie was he was sad about someone coming to visit who was a rival kid. And at the end, he's reading the note and he's talking to the viewer. He's talking to and he's reading the note going, he's going to come back and find out. And he's just going to top me at everything. He's really sad. And then the last panel is him walking to his house going, something about, I don't know if my parents know the troubles we have, our kids. And he's walking into the house, and it's just a panel of him walking in the house. But the artist decided to put a shade next to him and a shadow. And I go, okay, I know where the sun is. I know where the sun is in this panel. I know the weather. You know, he probably also drew leaves blowing. And I go, okay, so this is fall. Or this is, you know.
So you notice all these things.
And I just had that sense of a kid, like, he just created mood by just some, and I go, it's weather. There was one panel of him walking to talk to his mom, and she was out hanging clothes on the line.
Yes.
And the clothes are blowing. And I go, oh, it's a windy day because her hair's blowing too. And I go, and I didn't get it till I was older. I go, wow, he just commands the weather in this. He just brings the feeling with just the light of day. and these are just lines on paper.
That's the art of
You know,
cartooning.
and it's amazing to me. And so then I started thinking, weather has a lot to do with describing mood. And so I'm the little kid going, uh-oh, I bet it's time to go and have dinner because just the light of day is just telling me, oh, I know what time it is. It's just really interesting. And that artist just, I don't even know if he knew that he was doing that. But now I read those comics so fondly because it just makes me feel like I'm a little kid looking at this. I know where I am. I know where they are, you know, kind of thing. And so I don't use a lot of shadows, obviously, but I do like that. I always keep in mind those tricks that I learned, you know.
You are a master of black and white, and you choose black and white from the very beginning, probably maybe because you started doing
economically,
the independent comics. But I want to ask you about color. You haven't been tempted to move to, you know, do your black and white and then color it? How is that?
I'm always tempted.
You're tempted.
But it's another stage of more work. like I'm doing a comic and it's going to be colored. It's finished. Oh, I'm so happy. I got to color it now? I got to choose colors. I got to, you know, because I'm so used to, you know, what I've got on, say, any of these pages, I'm coloring it with the darks. I'm coloring this page, which
with light
works sometimes.
You're coloring with light.
Yes, yeah, and so it's like I'm always coloring. So what do I want to color it for? But then the days I'm thinking, oh, if I didn't have to put all those lines on them, one spot of blue would take care of that. Oh, wonderful, you know. And I go, nah, I'm just gonna do my work. You know, I just do it. So it's like it's a constant battle. That I'm doing while I'm finishing a page. It's a constant like, what if, or what can I do to make this the right mood? What can I do? You know. So it's just this constant thing I go through, and it's just become a natural thing. You know.
I myself prefer the black and white version. Usually because you were thinking in black and white. I have the feeling that sometimes when you color, it's an afterthought.
Yeah,
unless
it's a different animal.
It's like unless you're working in color. So you're drawing in color and you're coloring at the same time you're making the art. But once you're thinking in black and white and you come up with something as gorgeous as this, the color seems to be something, you know, an ad.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so this is finished. If you want to color it, fine, but the artist is done.
You're done.
I did my job. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Jaime, it has been a pleasure. I think people are going to have a ball with this interview because this is a very rare opportunity to have a master of this craft talking to us about how he made some of these beautiful pages. Could you sign this book for me?
Sure,
and
of course.
Maybe do a sketch or something and we
Sure.
can record it?
Yeah.
Let's see if we
Here's fine. Yeah.
Here or here, whatever you want.
What would you rather?
I have a pen,
Okay.
a marker.
Okay. Yeah. You know, I've always talked to my friends, my other cartoonist friends, and I always go, ugh, I hate when they tell me what pen to use. I hate when they come up with that. And that kind of became a joke with a lot of alternative cartoonists because that's not the main point of things. But now that people stopped asking me stuff, when someone like you comes and asks me, I'm all excited. I get excited and I'm like, oh yes, I do want to talk about technique.
Oh, I'm glad. I guess I mean, I love to do that. I mean, I have this chance to do with you. It's like a dream. So I'm glad it did work.
Okay.
I hope it works.
Since I'm left-handed, I go this way. All right, so you want me to draw something?
Yeah.
It's going to be rough.
Of course. Because you start always with the head. Is it?
It's funny. I start every drawing either with inside of this eye or the cheek.
Really?
When I draw in a sketchbook, which I hate doing, because I don't know, this is the art, not the sketchbook.
Yeah.
You know, I always start with the side of the head. I always start with the right here. And I go, I thought you were an artist. I thought you could, you know, change things. I go, nope, you're a prisoner to your own art.
Yeah. Prisoner of your method. Well, if it works, don't change it.
Yeah, that's what used to drive people crazy when I would say that. I go, why change it? Why did I change it? You know, I get a lot of questions my whole life about people going, have you ever thought of doing something else? I go, and now my answer is like, what? And they go, I don't know. And I go, well, if you don't know, I don't know either.
Exactly.
And then, you know, and then they get frustrated. And I'm like, and then I came up with, the first person who asks me to do something else should be doing it themselves. Ooh, they hate that.
Well, life is short, you know. If you're able to you know, master something, why are you just gonna, you know, throw it away?
Yeah. And then I say, you got plenty of artists here who don't draw like me. And you've got this whole library of wonderful stuff. Why am I the one that's got to change? Why am I the one that's got to do it all? You know, I don't know. I mean, I guess in a way that's a compliment.
Yeah.
You know, that they're asking.
Yeah, it's like, would you do a Marvel, like a Spider-Man story?
Wouldn't you ever want to do an X-Men comic? And I'm like, no, I got my comic. You know, you gotta understand. I'm a different animal than you. I've got my eyes are going somewhere that your eyes aren't going.
Yeah. You didn't get in conventions. Some people asking you to. Can you draw me a?
Oh yeah. Can you draw me a
Hulk or?
Or
a Wonder Woman or.
And sometimes if I'm in the right mood, I'm like, sure. And I'm like, wow, I've never drawn this character before. You know. Hey, this one turned out good. Usually they're like crooked eyes.
Oh no, that's a young.
25.
Okay, and you choose the X instead of the J.
That was because I always thought the J looked dumb in my signature. I don't know. J is not a good letter, you know. And and then I found out, you know, in Mexico and many different Latino countries, that the X can substitute the J.
Right,
you know,
Mexico.
So,
yeah,
yeah,
and it's also like comics with X. You know, has that.
There you go.
Yeah, that kind of underground feeling.
Yeah, and it looks cool.
It
like,
looks
hey,
cool.
He's an artist.
Well, Jaime, it's been a blast being with you, and thank you so much.
That was fun.
Thank you so much.
You know, don't tell anyone, but that was a lot of fun. Because, you know, as I was telling you, there were a few things where I was going, yeah, that's how I do it. Yeah, okay, cool. You know, I'm just learning constantly because I work so instinctual. You know, I just get on the board, and then sometimes when the page is finished, I'm like, how did I get there? How did I do that? Because I'm not thinking about it. And sometimes to say it out loud. I'm like, that's why I did that. Oh, don't tell anyone.
Well, this is the new brand book by La Cúpula Locas, Jaime Hernandez, and we recommend to start here, and you're gonna have many hours and years of fun, because there's gonna be many more volumes like this. Thank you.
Thanks.
Excellent.
1.000.000 de gracias a nuestro admirado y querido Jaime Hernández por esta mini clase magistral que nos ha regalado a todos los fans de la Piscina Comics. Queremos agradecerle a la editorial La Cúpula y a la librería Los Tres Hermanos de Moriarty por facilitarnos este encuentro con Jaime. Regresamos con nuevos episodios. No olvidéis suscribiros, darnos un like y dejar vuestros comentarios. Un saludo desde la Piscina Comics.